Roll, which was an illegal act, and because that was in Indian territory, that was in Oklahoma, but in Oklahoma was before it became Oklahoma, it was Indian territory. And then you have resources like mineral rights and water rights that they were affected by. You have funding loss, programs were closing, reduced healthcare access, and it was a political weakening to our communities to be disenrolled, like I had mentioned before, detribalized, and legal invisibility. We exist socially and physically with limited and limits to enforcing our particular rights and standing, partially because we're not in our right standing as our ancestors was. And through that, and to answer further the question, this also puts in the misclassification, because we all got misclassified when we during the Trail of Tear times, when some of our family members went to Oklahoma, and they got to identify, as Indian, or however they, as you said, freedmen over there. But then when you stayed back on the land, you couldn't say you was Indian. You had to misclassify yourself on purpose to be able to keep your land. So it was like a catch 22. So misclassification, when it comes down to it, shows their initial intent to purposely misclassify us.
Yeah.
That was done by Phoenix Moon. I just wanted to quote her and give her credit for that definition.
Shout out to Phoenix Moon. Hold on real quick, and then I'm gonna let Chief Natural finish what he was doing. I see Paperwork is here. Paperwork, you have to connect your mic and cam before I can add you to the stream, if you can hear me. Food just came in, and then we also got my girl Naturalista, who's also here. Well, she just dipped off. But Food, you here? Say hello to the people.
Am I good, or is my shit fucked up?
You need to turn your shit landscape, bro.
I'm on my phone.
I know. Turn it this way. You can't turn it this way a little bit.
Okay, it's gonna be.
Oh shit! All right, never mind.
Yeah, I told you. Yeah, it ain't gonna be good.
There it is.
No, there it was right there.
You changed it.
Yeah, you fixed it. It was working for a minute, but anyway, welcome to the chat. Introduce yourself to the people, and then we're gonna let Chief Natural continue.
Well, y'all know I'm unplugged FYM off of TikTok. I'm doing my best to be here every week, but I've been listening to the entire show, loving what I'm hearing. Make sure that y'all like, share, subscribe, all that, and tell somebody to tell 10 people to jump on right now. I'll mute myself. And unapologetically, G, that was me. I'm unplugged, the one that was bigging you up, because I love you talking your shit.
Shannon, can I shout out the people that came in the chat that came to support me in the live?
Sure, go ahead.
So we have DBG, we have Nikki Sunflower, Doc, Corn Pop, and I think that's it for right now. And UHIS in the chat. So that's short for Urban Indian Heritage Society.
Appreciate you all for joining in. OCO, what's happening? Welcome. I think that Paperwork just came in the building. Paperwork, go ahead, unmute yourself.
What's going on? Can y'all hear me?
Yeah, we hear you just fine. Welcome. Introduce yourself to the family.
What's going on, y'all? My name I go by Paperwork. I got a team named the Paperwork Party. We just going around trying to teach the truth the best way we can.
Well, we appreciate you. Do you know, when I was looking up, and then I'm gonna let him say, I gotta say this real quick because it was funny as hell when I found it. So Chief Natural, the one who turned me on to you, it told me to tap in and what you was doing. I was like, okay, I like this page. Do you know, when I was looking for you, prison videos was coming up?
Yeah.
I'm like, y'all, what is this? So this is some fun fact, y'all. This fun fact, completely off topic. There's a group. There's something called a Paperwork Party that they do in prison, where they like pull your paperwork out to see if you a snitch.
and that's kind of where I got it from. So when
Ah,
people denying our history and people want to say we not this and we got that, but we actually got the documents to actually prove it. My original name was I Got the Paperwork. Then we formed a group. Then I turned it to the Paperwork Party.
all right. I like that. I like that. That was creative. So yeah, I appreciate that. All right. So I'm gonna let you finish, Chief Natural, and then I definitely wanna hear from Paperwork since he just got in. You could continue.
Okay, I'm just gonna finish off on the world impacts. So the next one is the foreign myth, the psychological impact. This is the impact on identity. Paper genocide created a false historical narrative that all Black people in America are foreigners who arrived on slave ships from 1619 onwards. The mechanism, the suppression of proto-Negroid fossil evidence, such as Lucia, Veroman, Calaveras, and there's plenty more too, and the scrubbing of the census records pre-1850 1850 that show Indians of dark complexion. The result, it creates a psychological disconnect where Black people feel rootless or homeless in their own ancestral land. It forces them to identify with a continent, Africa, they may not be from, while ignoring the land beneath their feet where their ancestors, the mound builders, were buried. Quote from the slide: paper genocide made the indigenous landlord into a trespassing tenant. All right,
Wow.
so all right, is it gonna
This
let me?
good information right here.
And I think this the final. No, that is not the final one. Gotta go back. Let me go back. Let's see. In the question one, where I'm at. Right here. This where I'm at. Okay. Take that down. Okay, here we go. It says the genealogical dead ends, the erasure of lineage. For modern Black Americans trying to trace their roots, paper genocide created a literal firewall. The mechanism, the burning of the 1890 census, which contained the specific, can't say that word right, don't laugh at me, specific tribal affiliations of many Black people, in the 1920s policies of registers like Walter Plecker, who changed birth certificates from Indian to Negro. The result, a Black person today might trace their family back to the 1900s, but then the trail goes cold or switches categories. The paper trail says Negro, while the oral history says grandma was an Indian. The paper genocide makes the oral history look like a lie, even though the paper is the fraud.
Damn.
The exclusion from reparations and judgments. When the U.S. government is forced to pay for past crimes against Native Americans, the reclassification, the reclassified people are left out. The mechanism, the Indian Claims Commission, 1946, the government paid out millions of dollars to tribes for stolen land. Here's the real world impact. These payments went to the by blood descendants, often mixed whites or lighter skinned red Indians.
Yep.
Even though we're the red Indians, but they're called the red Indians. It says the descendants of the freemen, which is the primordial Negro types, were told they were not eligible because their ancestors were not on the blood rolls, which is the blood quantum. The irony, the government used its own fraudulent paper, the Dawes Rolls, to justify not paying the people they stole the land from. And this is my primary references for the slide because you didn't see the official sources. So I just pulled from the sources. But this is my sources page. You clearly see Walter Plecker, the letters, quotes from the official instructors to the county clerks. Plecker wrote, and there are no descendants of the Virginia Indians claiming to be all Indian. They are all mixed with Negro. We are compelled to classify them as Negroes. Secondary source, clearly see that. Dawes Rolls, Freeman Rolls, and the question one. All right.
So and thank you for that. I appreciate you for sharing that information with us. Now, when it comes to the Dawes Rolls, can one of you all explain exactly to the people what the Dawes Rolls is? Paperwork. I'm gonna start with you since you just got in. What all do you know about the Dawes Rolls, and how can Black Americans be able to go and look at those paperwork?
Yeah, y'all can hear me.
Yeah. We hear you now.
So like with the Dawes Rolls, it's kind of, how can I explain this? So when the Dawes Rolls came, they were disenfranchising some majority of the so-called black people from the tribes. So when a lot of people say they got people on the Dawes Rolls, when they actually check back, it's a lot of European people. So me personally, I really don't use the Dawes Rolls or make the Dawes Rolls a big thing as far as connecting back to the tribe, because at that time when the Dawes Rolls came out, a lot of our people were already taken off the tribes or labeled as freedmen, or just simply reclassified as black people.
I'm glad that you said that, because I'm telling y'all, like one night I stayed up to about 5 a.m. in the morning when I saw that my family had Dawes Rolls in their information on ancestry.com. If you all have any way of getting on ancestry.com, you can look this information up. If your family applied for the Dawes Rolls, which a lot of our families did, some of our families were accepted, but if you look at the interview process, it is enough to piss you off, because you got to think about it. These were people, a lot of these people did not know how to read. A lot of these people did not understand the questions, and they were asking them questions, and some of the questions were different based upon whoever they were asking them. And I was reading them and I'm thinking to myself, like, this person is 80 years old. Why are we interviewing them about land that they're owed, or benefits that they're owed? So it's a very, it'll piss you off. And then on top of that, you'll be able to see receipts that'll show you what part of your family is actually Native American, and it'll also show you whether or not your family was accepted to be on the Dawes Rolls or whether or not they were rejected. And I'm telling you right now, there were a whole lot more rejections when it came to melanated people than there was exceptions. Like, you had to pretty much be 100% Native American. If you were half, you got rejected. If you were a quarter, you got rejected. So if you all want to take a look at it, it's going to give you a headache because it's a lot of them. Don't they have it like structured in like brackets or something like that? Like, they have it to where it's full-blooded. They have it to where it's by blood, by marriage. Then they have it where it's child. Then they have it where it's freedman. So it's definitely in different ways that they have it structured. I wanted to hear more from you, Chief Natural, when it comes to the Dawes Rolls. Now, did your family get interviewed for that?
Yeah, most of them was denied.
They were denied too?
Because they didn't have a certain amount of Indian blood. We know what that means. Me personally, I started the Primordial Indigenous America. I created a manifesto. I had a meeting with the Secretary of State, and I'm trying to get a meeting with Governor Huckabee of Arkansas so we can expand on the acknowledgement on Primordial Indigenous American that predate the Barren Indians, or how you would say the Native Americans. I'm really against the rolls because it's really racist, for one, and two, if you use the rolls in any type of way to justify your identity, you're basically admitting that the Native American, who they call Native Americans today, is the real Indian, and you're just a descendant of them instead of the other way around, which is the whole that goes against our whole argument.
Yeah.
So we got a lot of people that's confused in the community, and they like to throw up the rolls and stuff like that and say, "Oh, I'm this, I'm that because of this." I'm like, hey, that goes back to these people, but I understand that we are those people. It's really a dual-edged sword. Me personally, I feel like the freedmen rolls is the one that could justify our identity, and we could actually go to court behind this and prove like, hey, those people that you put on the freedmens is the real Indians, and the ones you put on the Baker roll, the Dawes rolls, and all these other rolls, know what I'm saying? Those are the pretenders, because there's a lot of white people on those roles too. I'm talking about pure white people that's not mixed at all on those roles, which shows right there that, hey, you're trying to take our identity. You got immigrants here trying to take our identity that got on those roles too.
Right.
Yeah.
What you got to say, G? Unapologetically, G? You there, sis? Okay, I don't know where she went. Unapologetically, G, are you with us? Okay, I don't know what's going on. I think her stuff is messing up right now. Okay, so when it comes to the people who are responsible for this paper genocide, can you give us a couple of names that maybe some people could possibly look into? In reference, who could have possibly, aside from Walter Plecker, are there any other names? Any black people that were responsible? We know about Jesse Jackson. Who else? I know about W.E.B. Du Bois. Anybody else that anyone else needs to possibly look into that has something to do with the reclassification process?
Marcus Garvey's ass.
Marcus Garvey?
The Back to Africa diaspora.
And also Dred Scott as well.
Dred Scott. Wait a minute. Dred Scott is the guy from that's the reason he's the one who fought for us to have.
Hold on, I said the wrong name.
Hold on, because I'm like, he would have been dead by then, wouldn't he? Unplug, you got something to say? Anything you would like to add?
I mean, what's striking to me, and I've talked about this with some of my friends before, the names that y'all putting out there just seems as if that they've always had a calculated plan to make sure that we claimed somewhere else instead of actually here. They want us to go back there. You got Jesse Jackson with the African American thing. You had Marcus Garvey with the move back to Africa thing. And I don't know if y'all heard the story that Muhammad Ali told. When Muhammad Ali told that story, that spoke volumes because it proved how much of a class system we have in this country, and people tend to overlook that shit because everything is about motherfucking money, and it seems like everyone except us gets that respect. Anybody else from another country can get that respect, but it seems like we can't, especially when it comes to our history.
He probably talking about the story where he went into the burger joint.
Yep.
Okay.
Basically,
Got it.
Muhammad Ali, before he became the greatest, went to this spot. They wouldn't serve him, pretty much. That's basically what it was. He said, when I come back, I'm going to be the heavyweight champ, whatever, blah, blah, blah. He came back. They said, we still ain't going to serve you. But they let in some Africans who were in African garb right behind them. Come on in. They welcomed the Africans and still left his motherfucking ass at the door.
And you know what's so weird to me? Like, why do you all think that they favor? And I mean, like, looking at, I've been looking into like a lot of old articles and doing this blast from the past thing on my page. And they really did not look, they looked down on Africans. Like, they looked down on them probably just as bad as they looked down on the red man, because that's what they called American Indians. They called us the red men. They looked down on Negroids. They called them Negroids, and they looked at them like they were just animals, barbarians. And this is not even just in Africa. This is in Australia. This was in Peru. Because see, I don't know if people understand. Like there were melanated indigenous people all across this planet. Peru was doing the race mix and shit too. Australians, if you ever look up the Aborigines, they have like the most tragic story ever because they still are a small tribe of people and they got them living like they are like bums. You will look at them and they don't look nothing like the modern day Australians, and they living good, but they got these people living in shacks. You would think they live in a whole nother country, but they were melanated tribes of people who was just walking around their land, city free, minding their business, fishing and hunting, and they just came over there and just did some of the worst things to these people. So it's crazy to me that like now a group of people who y'all look down on so much, when they come to America, y'all want to use them to replace us or to look down on us. Do you all think that maybe they come over here with this attitude because of what has been shown to them in their other countries? Could they have been told I've heard people say that they have been
Sure.
told these things before
Sure.
they even enter the country?
They tell them don't mix
Absolutely.
with Black Americans.
Like I said, although the young lady said that not to put that the liberal was Black and white, it is the white liberal who has ushered them in and made them comfortable with the disrespect, made them comfortable in believing that they were above us. We haven't done that to them. We didn't bring them over here. We haven't ushered in policies. We haven't opened up our businesses to them in the manner in which the white liberal has opened up the damn near their homes to them to replace us, because they need to have somebody eat the scraps off the table. And we
But we also sis, we got to
for
remember about the
what the
rhinos.
narrative is. And
We got to remember also we got rhinos. This is one of the reasons why I say, like, yeah, we could, when it comes to politics, it's so much deeper than red and blue, because I don't know if a lot of people notice when it comes to those Dawes roles, like a lot of those people who was doing those interviews and canceling folks out were Republicans. And I did my research on this one. So we got to be very mindful that on both sides, we don't know who is for us and who isn't. And this is coming from somebody that's a conservative. So just as much as we got Elizabeth Warrens, we got people like what's his name, the old ugly dude from Kentucky. I can't think of what his name is. You know which one I'm talking about. We got a lot of Mitch McConnells. What's going on, sis? Welcome. You made it.
I know. I was looking for the link. I was like, I'm trying to get on. So I'm really glad that I was able to get on before you guys. But I've been listening and I relate to so much of what you guys have been talking about.
Yeah, well, introduce yourself to the family. Welcome.
Hey, so I'm Miss Original Black American. I'm primarily on TikTok. So that's how me and I didn't know if I should use your government name, but
you call me Shannon.
I mean, Shannon, that's how we connected. I was listening to what you guys were saying, and I've had that experience. You know, I grew up listening, to my family talk about we had Indian in our family, and when I listened to my great uncle who's gone now, he used to say we were never slaves, we were Indians. And at first I was like, I just thought, honestly, because just how he was, I was like, he just, maybe he's anti-Black or something or whatever. My mom used to tell us that, how we ended up in Massachusetts, or my mother's line is from Massachusetts. And the story was there was one of our ancestors was a slave. She didn't want to be a mistress. So she ran away from the plantation, went to an Indian tribe. They got married. At that time, they were murdering all the Indians. I don't know what I can't say. They were murdering all the Native Americans at that time, American Indians. And so her and her husband fled up into Canada. They fought in the French Indian War, and they migrated back down eventually through Maine and into Massachusetts. And that's how we ended up in Massachusetts. So I looked at the Dawes rolls, but I got confused because it was saying Oklahoma, because our Georgia ancestors were saying we were Georgian Indians. Of course, my mother, my supposed ancestor, and we have his name and everything. He's from Virginia. That's the Indian. And so, but when I looked at Dawes rolls, they were saying Oklahoma. And then a lot of the names are very, like, a lot of people have the same name. So a lot of the families have the same exact name. So Mimi, like Marie, like all these names are like everybody named their kids the same thing, which is very confusing. So when I looked at the Dawes rolls, I was like, oh, I see my family. But then when you look and you try to match the cards to the different family members, because it'll open up and it'll show you like which family members were in the household at the time where they were doing the Dawes rolls. And I thought it was Oklahoma, but so then sometimes it doesn't match, or you see a name. Like there's a lot of Josephs, and in my family was Joseph. There's a lot of Josephs, and there's a lot of the same names. So it's really hard. But what I did notice is I used to think, I don't know if this is what goes on in your families, But in my family, up until like my generation, the family kept naming each other after each other. Like it was always the grandfather, the grandmother, like constantly. I mean, you say it across America. And at first I thought it was just out of respect, but I kind of think it was so we could, we could so we could track ourselves. Because I couldn't remember my great grandfather's name. And they kept saying, what is it? But because my grandfather's name was Joseph, his middle name was his grandfather's name. And so I was able to find like at least some type of trail based on the fact that my grandfather's middle name was his grandfather. And I was like, maybe we did that back in the day because of slavery, because of all of this stuff. And we were trying to like breadcrumb it. Like, okay, well, we can remember through our names. I don't know if that's just me putting together the pieces, but it's really hard. I heard about the Earl Report, which is for Northeast Indians. But I tried to look at the Earl Report and that was just very confusing. So me and my mother are really trying, and I really want to do it for my mom because she's older now. And I know she said my grandmother used to get money from the state, but she doesn't know what tribe, she doesn't know where, so it's so much lost history. And like you guys said, as soon as I hit like the 1800s, before like the early 1800s, the track just goes cold. It's like, it's just dead. It's dead in the water. So I was thinking, okay, when I get a little money, I might need to hire a genealogist or just somebody who does this. Because it's just, like you said, the reclassification, there's a lot of mulatto. I see that when we go back there, it goes from Black and then you keep going back and it goes to mulatto. And it's like, okay, I know this is the part with Indian. So it's a mulatto with white, it's a mulatto with Indian. So it's a lot, but it's a fascinating topic. And I think we are definitely looking at things. And I think the reason is just land. Because if we do have indigenous history, we can trace it, then a lot of us have a lot of claim to land and money.
Hey, earlier when you was talking about the I believe you was talking about the African American titles. You said who we should be looking to. I did say that right. Dred Scott, when you look at what he said his descendancy come from Africa, and John Sanford, he was saying the same thing. Pretty much they was arguing about this African title and that basically he was just property. You know what I'm saying? So the reason I said we need to look into that more is because Pan-Africans love to use the Dred Scott case to justify us being African. They like to use that one guy's bloodline to justify us being Africans and immigrants as well. There's times on TikTok where I had to face people like that like to talk about that case. They just use little quotes that they say, oh, they ancestors come from Africa. So even though he's not saying that everybody comes from it, it's just they like to use these cases.
Yeah, like that it really kind of gets on my nerves. Also, when people talk about Black slave owners, the crazy thing is that like a lot of the Black slave owners, y'all only gonna give one, and that is Anthony Johnson. And Anthony Johnson was from Angola. So you know what I mean? We got to be very mindful when we have these conversations about Black slave owners versus white slave owners, because I know that that's a liberal train that y'all like to go down. Just to kind of compare and contrast. And we don't want to compare struggles. We don't want to compare slavery. Slavery is terrible no matter however you slice it and dice it. But whenever you all have these conversations, it's very important that you know the difference between a freed Black and an enslaved Black, that and that the difference between a slave and an indentured servant, as well as knowing that if you were not a free Black, you cannot own land. So Anthony Johnson, even though he's considered to be one of the first slave owners in the country, as well as one of the main Black slave owners, he was not a foundational Black or indigenous Black American. He was from Angola, and we also had a lot of people from the European. We had a lot of Black Europeans. I don't know if you all know this, but there were Black Europeans before there were white Europeans that were coming over here. So this is why I'm saying that the paperwork is so confusing, and it's hard to kind of find what the truth is when you have people like Google, when you have search engines like Google that can change They could whitewash some history at the drop of a hat. And I saw it happen like right in my face. With, I believe it was the first fossil, the first human fossil that they ever found from America. They found them in Brazil. And it was a woman. Her name was Lucille or Lucia. I literally saw them show what she would have looked like. And I'm telling y'all right now, she didn't look nothing like none of the Native Americans or anybody that is of any type of ancestry of Siberia. And they switched her over. They wanted to get rid of this lady's ancestry so much. And you can look the story up. They already had it in their mind that this lady was of Negroid ancestry. There's several, you got to go through DuckDuckGo to find it. But they already had it in their mind. Do you know in 2012, they switched it over. And then the place where they had her remains at, it caught on fire.
How convenient.
How convenient. Anytime that there is a fire in history, it is to erase something. Anytime that there is a fire that is so massive, it is usually to erase classified documents and get rid of evidence of something that is existing that they don't want nobody to find. Whether it's remains, whether it's records, whether it's society, civilization. When a fire takes place, if a war ain't broke out to where they already unaliving everybody, they're going to set some shit on fire. So just want to throw that out there. But I really want to get off into this diaspora war. You know, it's hot and it's taking heat, y'all. You just got in, sis. So we was talking about the Haitian lady who sat on the podcast and called us dirty Americans, dirty Black Americans. What's the difference between foundational Black American identity and a broader African diaspora identity? What is the difference between those two cultures that people need to be aware of? And not in the sense of it being disrespectful at all, but the honest to God truth and what separates us and what do people need to know about that? I'm going to go to you, sis, since you just came in. Miss Original Black American. What is the difference of the two?
Well, just a case in point about the Haitian lady, like everybody just gets clout off of us. So sometimes I just be like, I don't know, we got to Beyonce them because it's like they're kind of beneath us and that's how they gain relevancy. And because you saw, I'm not even gonna say her first name, the Banks lady now jumped on the train and stuff. And but what separates ethnic Black Americans from, I guess, Africans and Caribbeans? There's several factors, and it just goes into science and culture. We have a canonizing event, which is the United States slavery. That's a canonizing event that solidified our history together. So when we all became, enslaved in the history of America or became connected to slavery, if you were a freedman or what have you, you were still connected to it with your relatives or whatever was going on. You couldn't go to the South, even if you were in the North or what have you. You had that event. And then what that event did was it forced us to have this admixture that is the most unique admixture in the world. Like, you can look this up. We have the most unique admixture in the world. So you have us coming from all these different tribes, all these different places, and we were forced to mix together. And then we were baked in terms of just genetics. Like, you had us, intermixing with each other with all these different tribes that nobody else has had to go through. And then you bake that in with, unfortunately, rape and things like that. And then you have us creating our entire identity and culture together under this canonizing event or what have you. And you have us just creating all these different cultures in different regions in America, but then we're also integrating together because we're also mixing together. We're sold here, we're sold there, and we're starting to mix where our food is our diet is starting to change, our music is changing, everything is changing, our looks are changing, our genetics are changing, how we even adopt family, because before we had a different set of families, but when you have enslavement or what have you, and your child is sold somewhere else, and then you get a new child, and then you immediately adopt that child into your fold because that's part of what family starts to mean. Like, we have to look after each other. We have to look after this 6-year-old that just was sold into slavery and has no mother anymore. So you have all of these different dynamics that created a completely different understanding of life, history, culture, genetics, food, science, everything. Then you have us where we basically built the country, right? So then we're creating all these scientific inventions because we're doing everything. That's why when the Reconstruction era began, in history, 12 years. It was just 12 years. But during that 12 years, you had an amazing Renaissance movement where you had all of this explosion because you had people who had been for centuries creating everything and knew how to do all these different skills, and they had to shut that down. They kind of made a super people, a super group of people, because we were chosen based on what we could provide and do or what have you, whether that was genetically, whether that was scientifically, whether that was cooking, whether that was music, whatever that was. And so you mix all that together, you get an amazing group of people that are just kind of a super group of people. And so now here we are, and we're trying to piece things together. But to me, they lock us out of everything because of the fact that we're a super group. If we get ourselves together on any level, even on a slight level, we dominate that space every time, and they see it and they know it, and so they have to lock us out. That's not like anybody else. We go into golf, we dominate. We go into tennis, we dominate. We go into science, we dominate. We go into math, we dominate. So they have to lock us out of a lot of things, because if not, it's just a wrap.
Yeah.
So that's my 25 cents.
What you think unapologetically, G? You here? Go ahead, Chief Natural. I think she's maybe having an issue.
So the question you asked was, what's the
I'm still
distinction
here.
between? Oh, there she go.
Oh, yeah. Well, we wanted to know what's the difference between the African diaspora and foundational Black Americans, as far as lineage, ancestry. Go ahead. We'll come back to you. We'll come back. We'll come back to you, sis.
That
Go.
up lynched.
Yeah, let me.
All of the things for a place just to have a space in, and for them to come.
She was about to go off too. I could tell. I can hear their voice. Go ahead, Chief. Hey, sis, I'm gonna have to remove you real quick so you could come back, because you keep going in and out. She gonna have to come back. All right, go ahead, Chief Natural.
I'm sharing my screen real quick.
Okay.
All right, so I said, can y'all see it?
Hold on, I gotta add you one. There you go.
All right. So I said, what is the distinction between foundational Black American identity and broader African diaspora identity? This slide isn't long. The question of origin from here versus from there. African diaspora identity. This identity is rooted in the out of African model. It groups all Black people globally, African Americans, Caribbeans, Afro-Latinos, continental Africans, as one family, dispersed by colonization and the Mafa Great Disaster slavery. The unifying factor is a shared ancestry traced back to the African continent. Now, as far as foundational Black American, FBA, which I say primordial identity. Now, there's some FBA say their roots go back to Africa, but I see a lot of FBA starting to deny that and take the side of the indigenous side instead of the African side. So,
would you say that those are the Sulans?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I say they're literally the same thing. I got Brother Prophet. He broke that down to me. He showed me that Sulan. I be saying it wrong all the time, but he said they're pre-contact indigenous people too. But I see the FBA, they're going down the same road. I see there's still a split between them when it comes down to the African ancestry. But when I talk about FBA, if I say that represent FBA, it's only for the primordial identity, not African identity. But under your thesis, which is my thesis, FBA identity challenged the universal African narrative. It asserts that Black Americans are not a subgroup of Africans, but a distinct Aboriginal group native to North America, which is Turtle Island. You can call it whatever you want to call it. We ain't gonna argue about it. But a key difference: the diaspora looks to Africa as the motherland. FBA, in my contents, looks to America as the motherland. Pointing to fossil records, Calavera Skull, the Ponon woman, and pre-colonial
just an examination of this topic, trying to see like I don't know what's going on. Okay, go ahead.
And the pre-colonial mound civilizations as proof of local origin. I think I ain't gonna read all that because it don't require all that. See, I just read. I read this, and I answering the question. All right, the lineage of slavery versus the lineage of conquest. African diaspora identity views the Black experience in America primarily through the lens of chattel slavery, 1619, which is a fictitious year in 1865. The narrative is we were brought here enslaved, then fought for civil rights. Foundational Black America FBA identity views the experience as a conquest and prisoner of war status. The model argues that many so-called slaves were actually indigenous prisoners of war captured on their own land during Indian wars like the Yamasee, Seminole Wars, and reclassified as Negro or colored. The key difference: the diaspora sees immigrants forced into labor. The FBA, which is the primordial, sees sovereign nations stripped of their territory and reclassified. This is the final slide. Claims to reparation and sovereignty. African diaspora identity often approach justice through a Pan-African lens. Justice might look like global solidarity or investment in Africa. In the U.S., arguments for I can't say this word right now. Equity often include all Black immigrants, Nigerians, Jamaicans, etc., under the umbrella of people of color. And it says foundational Black Americans FBA identity advocates for specific reparations based on specific lineage of people who built the United States and were subjected to its specific laws: Jim Crow, redlining, Dawes Rose fraud. Key difference: the FBA argument is lineage-based reparations. It asserts that benefits owed to descendants of the U.S. slaves and the U.S. indigenous conquest cannot be claimed by recent Black immigrants from the Caribbean or Africa, as their ancestors did not suffer under the specific U.S. government actions like the tearing up of the 1890 census or the paper genocide of the 5 civilized tribes.
So basically, yeah, sound about right. Because I just found out, I don't know if you all know this, there's been 62 new shades of Black. Okay, we just had 62 new Black groups added to us in 2003. 62. Not only that, they're trying, I don't know if people know this, but they are trying to get reparations from the UN. Biden actually gave them the green light, and they created all of these different committees when he was in office, where they were using the story of our ancestors in order to go to the UN and ask for reparations. So this is very serious, ladies and gentlemen. It's not that we hate these people. It seems like they hate us, though. But I don't know. And we know that they're not a monolith because we're not all the monolith. We got people who are so-called foundational Black Americans who may possibly be married to someone who may be of the diaspora. So, okay, understood. However, the fact that we continue to get gaslit by them is one of the reasons why delineation is taking place. The fact that you all continue to pick up your phones and make horrible content about our country, our people, while being in our country, might I add, is the reason why delineation is taking place. And one last thing, we understand that a lot of you all probably were first gen Americans, and we respect that. And we know that there's people who don't feel the same way. However, when it comes to delineation, this is where I'm going to come to you, Miss Sun Spirit, because I don't want to keep saying Celestian wrong. I don't. When it comes to delineation, how important is it that we honestly all do this as a community, and how do we go about it?
So when it comes to delineation, basically, you need to start with your family because each individual has its own specific story that pertains to them. Maybe you got land stolen and I didn't. So there's different things that happen to each family. That's why we encourage you to do your genealogy. I'm not talking DNA. I'm talking genealogy where you study your ancestors, your mother, your mother's mother, and on both sides, your father, your father's mother, and your grandparents, so that you can find out what harm actually happened to your family. And you're in that way, you're delineating. You're getting your paperwork and everything in order for what you need. And our petition talks about that, some of the harms that have been done to us and what we're demanding to happen as we move forward. And we are making definite strides. So let me give you an example. A couple of years ago, the Cherokee people out of Oklahoma were trying to Africanize the people that were there in that tribe. Now, we know that they were so-called Black Americans, but they tried to Africanize them, because when you look at the treaty says Africans have no right to the land. So we, as an organization of Urban Indian Heritage Society, we attended the hearing. We had some people attend in person, and we had some of us wrote letters online and sent it to Indian Senate to let them know that they're not African.
So when you say that the treaty, are you talking about the Freedmen's Treaty?
The 1830 Dancing Rabbit Treaty.
And it's crazy you said that, because I noticed that when I was looking up the interviews with people for the Dawes Rolls, that they were asking about that specific treaty a couple of times. Yeah, they was asking these folks about it.
Yeah. So it's important for you to delineate. You can't do it together because everybody doesn't have the same story. Yeah. Everybody was in different locations and stuff. So it has to be individual. Yes, you can come together, towards the end or along the way or on the path, but you really have to do your own genealogy. And you know what? Once you know who you are, nobody can really tell you nothing. I tell my children, we're American Indians. On all your documentation, put who we are, so that it's we're correcting it as we're moving forward, as we're going along. So it's important for us to delineate.
Yeah. So what does delineating mean to you, Chief Natural? I don't know where everyone went.
Yeah, I think StreamYard's just acting up today.
Yeah.
But I don't
might be doing it purposely. I ain't gonna even hold you. I done pissed these J-Ways off the last couple of weeks. So
yeah, because I was just on here,
then
I just randomly got booted off.
I'm telling y'all, like they've been on my ass. That's something else. So we gonna call them J-Ways, but we definitely want to talk about why they've been all in our business for the last 100, 200, 300 years. But go ahead, Chief Natural.
All right. I'm only just gonna read one slide.
Okay.
Delineation, the act of distinguishing foundational Black Americans, FBA, or American descendants of slavery, ADOS, from Black immigrants, Caribbean, African, etc., is a controversially primarily because it shatters the long-standing concept of Pan-Africanism, global Black unity, in favor of lineage-based nationalism, which I am for that. I'm tired of white people, Mexicans, anybody. I'm tired of them all grouping us together just because of our skin color. That's racist, and it literally destroys who we are as a people, our culture, everything about ourselves. But when it comes down to white people, they're not grouped together. They're not. Mexicans not. Nobody else not. We the only people that's grouped together. So yeah, delineation is, yeah, we need that. And the fight for reparations and resources. This is why it's important. Delineators argue that affirmative action set asides and reparations are, set asides and reparations are specifically owed to the descendants of those who built the country, enslaved people, and indigenous captives, not to voluntary immigrants who arrived after the civil rights movement. The controversy arises because legitimate U.S. benefits meant to repair the damage of Jim Crow and slavery are often statistically captured by high achieving Black immigrants, leaving the foundational population economically stagnant. So, yeah, that's important, especially if we want to get paid, if we want to get remedy, we're gonna have to set ourselves apart from other Black races. And I believe that's how they get us, by making us come together at that point.
Paperwork. You
What's
here?
going on? Y'all get me?
Yeah. We wanted to make sure you was here. I wanted to give you some time. What does delineation mean to you? And like, why do you think that it's important?
Delineation to me is us coming together, because like what I kind of see, or what I've been seeing, is that a lot of so-called Black people or African American people, we accept these other people just based off of the color of their skin, thinking that they're benefiting us, or that they're going to help us. And when we talk about Africans, certain Caribbean people, when they come to the Americas and they come into our communities, they set up their own communities within our communities. Don't really do nothing for our community, don't give back. At the same time, come on the internet and say bad things about us as well. So delineation is something that I think needs to be done. We need to just focus on ourselves before we try to fix somebody else's house. So we need to fix home first. Besides that, delineation, I just feel like it's something that's necessary, that need to happen. We just need to come together so we can get everything together on our own end.
I feel that. Let me see what this says. It says not all reparations is the same. Like Jamaica should be looking for it from England and Spain, not the U.S. Just like Haiti should be getting it from France, and indigenous Americans should get it from the USA. I agree. And I'm gonna tell you something also. I see a lot of people who like to say, well, I'm Irish, so where's my reparations? Your reparations will come from the UK. The UK, if you are a non-Black American, or you are a white American whose family you're from Irish lineage and they were an indentured servant and they are looking for reparations, definitely the UK, because Europe are the ones that sent them over here to be indentured servants. Now, I'm not sure if this was all, but I think that this is what I also need people to understand, that you did have the Naturalization Act of 1790, which granted them to be free white citizens. So even though that they were indentured servants, understand that there's a difference between indentured servants and an enslaved person. When you're enslaved, you are enslaved for life. They didn't get paid. They didn't get free. They were enslaved from life. If they were pregnant, their babies was enslaved. Their babies was enslaved. If you are an indentured servant, you were on contract to work for probably about 7 years. And if you were able to make the money to buy your freedom, you bought your freedom. And not only that, you also got benefits when you left. You got land. You were able to own slaves. You were able to be put on the doll's rolls. You were able to become a $5 Indian. So this isn't saying it's just to be racist or to cause division. I just want people to understand the reason why, in my opinion, I'm more against restitution over reparations, because restitution going to take us back to what we were supposed to be in the first place. Reparations, in my opinion, it's going to be kind of hard to get because we have so many people that have been able to come over here and claim to be Black American. And now they're one of the people that's a part of these committees or a part of this Black Caucus, this National Black Caucus that's supposed to be speaking on behalf of Black Americans. We have way too many people that are in our business that should not be in our business. And I think that's the main reason why delineation is important, because a lot of y'all couldn't just come over here and play nice. I don't understand that. We can't go to Africa. We can't go to Nigeria. We can't go to Jamaica. We can't go to we can't go to Haiti and be a part of your government or take part in your massive publications, Essence, or your festivals, or speak within your government or buy land. We can't do that shit in y'all country. So when y'all come over here and y'all want to be so embedded in our fabric, you want to be embedded in that, and then you want to disrespect us in the same breath, that's the problem. Because I don't know if that lady knows who stood there and talked about us and called us dirty Black Americans. It's Black Americans that go to y'all restaurants and support y'all businesses. I'm going to pull up and get me some rice and peas with some oxtails before my white neighbor will. So this is another reason why it's important that you all be very mindful and tell your friends to tell a friend, because it's going to get to the point to where you're going to lose out on money and you're not going to be able to send your money back to your country if we stop going to your restaurants, if we stop going to your lash bars, if we go back to Shaquita in the hood and start getting our hair braided and our hair retwisted, and we no longer are sitting in your chairs and listening to you all talking your native language, talking shit about us. That's how I feel right now. And I wanted to say it loud and proud on my platform, because honestly, I don't have a problem with no immigrants. I love all different types of cultures, but the disrespect is becoming too loud. And when it comes to our white Americans, I really want y'all to know y'all getting cosplayed too. It's people in y'all lineage right now. It's people in y'all community who are claiming to be white because they get an automatic pass when they come over here. And I'm talking about the Juice Box crew. I'm talking about people who are from Africa, the Afrikaners that came over here, that my president, that I didn't agree with him doing that shit, that are able to come over here, that are a part of y'all culture, who are racist as hell. So because they're racist, and because they don't like the melanated people in their land, they come over here and they embed themselves in y'all community. And now you got everybody thinking that every white person that they see is a racist. America, that's the only monolith we need to have. If we can't do anything else, it needs to be America first. Because we already see that we got people that's coming over here that look like you and look like me, that don't fuck with none of us.
Like you were saying, Shannon, in reference to the white people are misclassified too.
Exactly. Yes.
They're not identifying who they are. It's
some white folks out here right now that probably got more blood and more Negro blood in them than I do. But you light skinned, so you could pass. But how would you really feel if somebody said you can no longer classify as white no more? Would you be ready for that? would you be ready to get knocked down the caste system a peg or two? Because that's all it really is. It's a system.
Okay, a system. That's right. That's totally true.
So we gotta get in our mindsets that, like, right now at this point, they're using racism as a way to keep us more focused on the problem and less on the solution. And the problem is that we have a government that has deconstructed our history so much that we don't even know what's real and we don't know what's not. So these conversations are necessary. I'm grateful that I'm able to have such just have such amazing people that's on here. And I really hope that everybody follows follow these people on social media, because look, I could talk about all kinds of stuff on my page, but these people study this shit. Chief Natural studies this. Sun Spirit studies this. Paperwork, Miss OBA, study this, ask them questions, figure out what you need to do in order for you to get those documents and for you to trace your lineage. And then I also want you, Sun Spirit, to talk about the petition that you have, so we could get more signatures and more support, so we could take that shit to Washington, because now is the time to do it. When Trump's out of office, we don't know what we gonna get what we gonna get after that. You ain't gotta like Trump, you ain't have to vote for him, but had he not got in office, I guarantee you a lot of the stuff we're finding out about, we probably wouldn't find out about. So when people say, "Oh, are they getting rid of my history?" Good. It's not your history in the first place. So go ahead and tell the people what's going on.
So if one of Doc or anyone in the chat, can you put the link for the petition in the chat? I'm just going to read a little bit from the petition. This petition we wrote, I believe it's about 3 years now. We have over 11,000 signatures, and it's called The Remedy for the Misclassified People of North American. And the reason why we wrote this petition, and as I had stated before, it was many of us that were urban Indians that were in different states across the United States that came together and decided that we needed to write this petition. Of course, Phoenix was the spearhead in it, and she guided us in through doing the petition. And we have other people as well. So this is our opportunity to set the record straight about our family histories, the truth about our honored ancestors, and our right to participate in the process of our own restitution, and restoration. And I told you who the petition was organized by, and it's broken down into 3 R's: reclassification, removal/return, resolve, and restitution. And I'll just read a paragraph under reclassification. Discovery, access, and redress to all known tribal records that provide direct distinction of misclassified American Indians that are in possession of the United States Bureau of Indian Affairs, the National Archives, the Department of Housing, United States Department of Defense, and the United States Department of Commerce. Create a federally commissioned genealogical committee managed by UHIS to examine genealogical findings for bloodline lineage for misclassified American Indians, to properly connect birthright, investigate American Indian roles and American Indian artifacts, assets, and discovery and recovery. I'm going to scroll down to removal and return. We're asking for a special committee appointed by the UHS to create report of land removal through exile, taxation, internal displacement, eminent domain, or other methods that displace the American Indian. Resolve. Immediate repeal of H.R. 4238 from 2015, which was on the 114th Congress, in which direct violation of ADREP, ADRIP, American Declaration of Rights of Indigenous People, was committed and speaks to the sanctioned removal of American Indian and Negro, placing ethnicities from African American and Native American or Alaskan Native. The American Indian was reclassified to Negro per 1830 Indio Removal Act. Within H.R. 4230, Negro has been changed to African American. And I'm going to go down and just read a paragraph from restitution. Immediate creation of public misclassified American Indian Trust for allocation of restitution funds, utility toll, transportation toll, and corporate tax to provide ongoing funding allocations to misclassified American Indian Trust. Restitution for fraud, racketeering, and conspiracy committed against the misclassified American Indians and families. Example, illegal amendments, cross out of B's, and of I's to B's, and the number 13 on the census. So basically, we're saying that if it had I for Indian, they crossed it out and turned it into a B. We see these. We see these on the records when we go do our genealogy. And then I'm going to scroll down to the bottom of the petition where it talks about who we're going to be sending this petition to the United States Congress Executive Branch, departments here within the United States Department of Commerce, the United States Bureau of Land Management, United States Board of Governors at L, the Reserve, the Federal Reserve, the United States Department of Energy, United States Department of Interior, AI et al., the United States Department of War, United States Bureau of Indian Affairs, United States Department of Housing and Urban Development, the Defense, the Department of Justice, Department of Corrections, all Bureau of Prisons, Federal Acquisition Regulation Departments, the United States Department of Transportation, Department of Health and Human Services et al., Center of Disease Control, United States Department of Vital Statistics et al., and the 57 United States and the jurisdictions there within, including the United States 4 Commonwealth territories, United States Department of Agriculture, United States Federal Drug Administration, United States Bureau of Department of Treasury, United States Department of Education, Department of Homeland Security, Federal Emergency Management, the Department of Veterans Affairs, United States Department of Labor, United States Department of National Intelligence, and United States Drug Enforcement Administration, the Cherokee Nation, the Muskogee Nation, the Choctaw Nation, the Seminole Nation, and the Chickasaw Nation et al., and the 5 civilized tribes. So we serious when we're talking about this petition. And if these are some of the things that touch upon you and your family, and you should read through the whole petition yourself. They put it in they put the chat in a link so you can read and see if this resonates with you, and you can share it with your friends and family. You can share it on social media so we can get the word out. I mean, our goal is 100,000 signatures. We're at over 11,000 signatures. And if you when you go down and read some of the comments that some of the people that signed the petition wrote, it's very touching, and it's very it brings it back home. And so I encourage any and everyone to do that.
Thank you.
You're welcome. And if anybody needs genealogy help, they can visit the website at urbanindianheritagesociety.org. You can put the link in the chat for me, Doc or Firewalker, and you can check out our website. The petition is on the website if you want to just go to the website. And if you'd like to donate to us, you could donate on our website. The money that you donate to where the petition is at through change.org. Change.org keeps that petition. I guess it's their cost for running the petition online. But if you'd like to support us in what we're doing, if you like what we're doing and the impacts of how it's affecting you, you can support Urban Indian Heritage Society. Thank you.
All right. Well, thank you. Thank you for that. Thank you for that. I appreciate that. You all, please make sure you all support and sign that petition. Like this whole everything she just said pretty much like kind of aligns up with the next prompt, because we have to be solution based right now. We could talk all day until we blue in the face, but what is the solution? How do we move forward and how do we get this done? We got 3 years, y'all. We got 3 years. And I'm saying this because even if you don't like Trump, like, bro, like he the only one that probably really honestly give a damn about or even know who we are, like, or even care to even change it or correct it in some way. He might have to go to the Supreme Court, but at least we may not have as much pushback. And we can't say it's a Republican Democrat thing because we just saw the governor in Virginia, who was a Republican, literally do a whole thing for the Pocahontas ass Native Americans that they got out there. So this is what I mean why I say that, like, it's going to take for us to like band together and get this done right now while we can. We got enough people that are extremely knowledgeable that could really help us lead us in the right direction. So please sign that petition so that way we could get these folks sit straight, because America has a karma to pay. They have a karmatic debt to pay. And if they do not pay it, unfortunately, it's going to fall on all of us. And it's going to fall on people that ain't even got nothing to do with the debt. We dealing with it right now. So,
and thank you, Shannon, for signing the petition. Appreciate that.
You're welcome. You're welcome. I'm going to make sure that I share it. So to end this out, is there a way? And I'm going to start with the people who had some issues. Unapologetically G, sisters, you here? You here, sir?
I am here. I am here.
That was my drums, my freedom drums. Give us free. So it's like, so I wanted to know this. Is there a way that we could do this without causing more division? I think you hear? You whooping some ass over there? Like, why it sound like a switch? It sounds like you got.
There will be division. We will. We are going to have to fight for it. We fight every day for our lives. Every day, just. It sounds like you got. There will be division. We are going to have to fight.
So we're gonna have to fight. Y'all think it's gonna get bloody, or it's just gonna get? It's gonna get bloody, or is it, or are we gonna have to fight in court? Well, we're gonna definitely have to fight in court, and I don't even think that the world courts is gonna even be able to help us. Like, I don't know what America has with the world courts, but like, there's nothing that America that you could do, that we could do when it comes to America in the world courts. You know that there was one culture that tried to sue America for something, and they didn't even show up. And you know why I think it is? I think it got a lot to do with our shadow government. I don't even think that it has a lot to do with the people that sit in the White House. I think it got a lot to do with the juice box crew. What you think, Paperwork?
I mean, it might go that way, it might not, but it's a lot of things that I would say that we can focus on that will delineate us and put us in our own communities without causing havoc. Simple things. I got a few things. Some of the things is like funding and resourcing, and like from the grassroots organizations that focus on like education, health, and housing, or we could like start supporting our community leaders and start just pouring into our own communities. So if we start pouring into our own communities, we're naturally going to be separating ourselves from other people. So if we stop shopping at the Jamaicans and shop with, or getting our hair done by the Africans, like you said, and go to Shaniqua down the street, like that's something naturally that's just going to delineate us without actually causing harm or having bloodshed, unless these people on some weird shit, and you get what I'm saying, try to pull us back in, which they try to do. Like they want our money, but they don't want to deal with us. So that's a couple of things. Educational workshops. We could start building these things, or even coming up online and doing this. We could talk about financial literacy, home ownership in our own communities, and let's just like keep it in our own. Another thing I want to talk about is having like these events. So like when we go to our lives, it'd be 100 people, 200 people, 300 people. We need to start getting out, getting in the field, and like we need to get off TikTok, get off YouTube. I mean, it's cool because we can reach 10,000 people at one time, but at the same time, can we get these 10,000 people on foot in one place?
Yeah, I agree. I definitely agree because I was just talking to my partner the other day, and I was just like, yo, like it's cold right now, but I'm building myself up to get out here in this community because I live in Indiana, I live in Indianapolis, and I found out a couple of months ago that they had been hiding the first black baseball team. The first black baseball team in Indianapolis, if you look it up, it's going to say the Clowns, and that's not it. Yeah, the Clowns. Guess what their names was?
The Indians?
The Black Indians. And they was stumping on shit all through the 20s and the 30s and the 40s. And they just completely removed them from history and replaced them with the Clowns. The Clowns was, I guess, they baseball team is similar to like the Harlem Globetrotters of baseball. So it kind of pushed me a little bit more to even go forward with this. And I feel like, maybe they don't know about the history. Maybe they aren't aware. I'm quite sure they don't teach it in the schools. And then I looked up the black history that they have out here. It's very pan-African, and they like 70 and 80. So they probably need some fresh meat. Anybody else want to say anything before I end this live? Y'all want to share, where can people find you? Chief Natural, I'll start with you and then I'll go around the room. Well, how can people find you and locate you and check out your work?
Just on TikTok and YouTube. All you do is gotta type Chief Natural and you'll find me.
Okay. And your book is available on Amazon?
Yeah, it's on Amazon and it's on Lulu.
Okay. Mm-hmm. What about you, Sun Spirit?
You can find me on Clubhouse under, I'm trying to think, it's under Urban Indian Heritage Society, or just follow Phoenix Moon, because that'll put you into the different houses, because we have a couple of different houses that we talk about history. And I just want to add that on Clubhouse in 2021, when it first came out, when we started getting on audio text, that's how we found a lot of cousins, just through talking about this. At that time we were doing surnames or whatever, family information and stuff, and I found several cousins, and a lot of us has found cousins on Clubhouse just through conversations based on where you were from. So you can find that, and I would encourage everyone to look at the SF 181 form, which breaks down race and classification, even though there's social constructs. But no, when you look at the form, that when it comes to Black and African American, it states that it's one of the racial groups of Africa. It doesn't even put
what is the form again?
SF 181. S like in Sam, F like in Frank, 181. It gives you the breakdown of the 5 different racial classifications that we have here in America.
Oh, wow.
So it's important that you guys know and understand that.
Appreciate that.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Thank you so much. Paperwork.
I'm on TikTok and YouTube. You can find me at Paperwork the Great on TikTok, and I got the Paperwork on YouTube. I more solely speak on kind of history aspects and kind of the genetic relations to all over the world, and prove how we are genetically distinct from all other populations.
Okay. All right. Unapologetically G. You there? All right. All right. Well, unfortunately, I think that she's had some issues all night with her internet. But I greatly appreciate you all for stopping through, from chopping it up with the family, for bringing just a wealth of information. Um, I'm grateful for your presence. I'm grateful for all this information. I'm grateful for what you all do. And we definitely, it's just so important that we have more of this, that we bring more of this to the table so people could be aware. Because we are in the midst of a 2026 land grab right now. Right now. It may not be like the Homestead Act, it may not be like the Indian Removal Act, but we are in the midst of a 2026 land grab. And we're seeing it from companies like BlackRock. We're seeing it from a lot of these foreigners, China. I could go on and on and on. You already just saw what happened out there in California when it came to those fires. You think that they just did that was an accident? What happened out there in North Carolina? That storm. You think that was an accident? We've been having storm after storm after storm, washing away whole neighborhoods. The only difference is they're not doing it based upon a race. So when I say that the main monolith that we have to be right now is America first, we have to. Because just like you may not be a melanated person, and I am, that doesn't mean that your family does not deserve to be considered an American, and we don't have to stand with each other against these people who are terrorizing our country. And it's important that Black Americans, that y'all get off that Democrat plantation, because they ain't serving none of us right now. They fighting with the enemy. They fighting with the enemy. They standing with the enemy. You ain't got your kids out there. Make it make sense. But I ain't gonna preach to you all today. I'm gonna go ahead and get up out of here. Listen, make sure you all click that bell so that way you can be notified anytime that I hop on. We're gonna be back here next Monday at 5 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. We're closing out Black History Month and bringing in Black History Heritage. And we're gonna close that out and bring that in with a bang. Next month, we're gonna focus on the new year. What a lot of people are not aware of is that the new year was not January 1st. So next year is all about frequency, energy harvesting, spirituality, connecting to source. What is source? We're going to dive in deep, and I really hope that you all join us in next year. I mean, next year. Well, next year. I'm going to get up out of here, y'all.
You got it, girl.
I got it, God. Let me see. The ancestors was like, let me realign you. I knew where you was going, but let me bring you back. But I appreciate you all so much. Thank you, family, for joining the live everywhere. Facebook, IG, YouTube. Appreciate you all. Follow all my people. Thank y'all so much. I appreciate y'all. Y'all have a wonderful Monday. All right. And we out.
Appreciate it.
Peace. Happy Monday.